Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Overreaction post-game show brought to you by the Market Dominator on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is Joe Miller. I'm the host of this here Overreaction post-game show. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. It is so good to be back in the seat in front of the microphone, even if I've got some technical difficulties, which most of you cannot hear. I've just got a weird echo in my headphones. It's driving me a little bit crazy, but we're going to get through this. We are going to press through and push and get to the end of this show, this here first show episode of the 2023 NFL Buffalo Bills football season. So good to have every single one of you. Thanks to everybody, all the familiar faces and names that are jumping into the comments section. My mom is in the room. Renaissance Man, what's up? RJ Melville, J. Spencer King, Sarah Christine, Richard Rush, Jessica Tennis, Karen Idzik. There's a bunch of you. I don't even know. That might be all of you. That could be. There's a bunch. If you are watching me currently on Twitter or Facebook, feel free, if you would like to jump over to YouTube. Go to the Buffalo Rumblings YouTube channel. Jump in live. You can comment with everybody that's over there. There's usually a pretty fun crowd. And yeah, you'll get to hang out with us, if you know what I'm saying. Also, this is the recording of a podcast. So if you are trying to get my attention in the comments section, please know that I am not ignoring you. I'm trying to get through my notes. If you want to get my attention, we are Super Chat Live. What that means is there's a spot on YouTube where you can put in a chat and put in, I don't even know, a quarter or something like that, just a little bit of money. It glows when it shows up on my screen. When it does that, it gets my attention. And if it gets my attention, I will read your question, comment, or concern or correction, because I have a tendency to say incorrect things. You can ask the real Chris Janke, who we call the encyclopedia. I say the wrong thing often, but it is so good to have you. Super thankful to be back. Super thankful for everybody that's joining me, everybody that's going to listen to this both live and in podcast form. But before we move any further, let's hear a special word from the sponsor of this year's show, the Market Dominator.
Introducing the Market Dominator.
Folks, I'm John Spaschak. That's right, the Market Dominator. And I am the proud sponsor of the Overreaction podcast, hosted by my good friend, Joe Miller. You know, his approach is absolutely outstanding. It's excellent. And that's what our approach is when we get into real estate. We help our clients win, just like our beloved team is doing week in and week out. So folks, if you want somebody representing you with the most cutting edge technology, using artificial intelligence and everything we can get our hands on to help you win, you reach out to me directly, 716-570-3298. We will answer our phone. And one more thing, go Bills.
Go Bills. That is John Spaschak of the Market He's the Market Dominator, but he is the leader of the Market Dominator team. Let me tell you something. If ever there was a time in history when you needed the right person on your side from a real estate standpoint, that time would be now. I don't know if you have been paying attention at all, but interest rates are crazy. The amount of houses on the market is like super low. Just the whole thing is a hot ball of stress. So the last thing you want to do as a buyer or a seller is stress. So do yourself a favor. Do what I did. Do what a lot of my friends have done. Call John Spaschak, 716-570-3298. The number again, 716-570-3298. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Let's talk a little bit of football. It was a windy but sunny day in Buffalo. What a surprise, right? That seems like what it's been for the last couple of years, windy and kind of sunny. Kids Day, and Kids Day is always a great day for young Bills Mafia, especially when the Buffalo Bills win, which they did 23-19 against the new look, sort of, Indianapolis Colts. I guess we're going to find out exactly what that roster looks like, who's going to be playing quarterback, who's going to be playing running back. They got a new head coach, of which I don't even know his name. So there you go. I'm sure that 17 people in the comment section probably do. My dad actually asked me, is Jeff Saturday still the head coach? And I was like, I have no idea. I don't know what's going on in that city, but here we are. It was as preseason games go, it was one. I think we would all probably agree with that. Most of the starters played through the first quarter into the first half. Preseason is always interesting to me because as fans, as content creators, we always want to take something from it. Give me, like, there's got to be something that I can determine from what I'm watching. And there wasn't much to determine outside of the fact that Josh Allen is the starter because he did not play. But most of the starters did play, and they played sporadically through the game. I was interested in kind of who played where. We'll get into that in a second, but I'm going to be honest with you. Is the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs like situation, like the bad blood so bad that they like couldn't even play in the first preseason game together? Is that where we're at with it? I'm just kidding. I think you guys know that I'm kidding. So yeah, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs have bad blood and aren't talking to each other like Josh Allen threw an interception in that football game and couldn't catch the guy. Threw a pick six and couldn't catch the guy. I don't know if you guys caught that on social media, but it was funny. Like people were like, that Josh Allen guy sucks. It's like, yeah, that's not Josh Allen. That's another dude, Allen, which was super bizarre. It was wildly bizarre to watch that football game, to effectively like look at the field, look at the quarterback, see the word Allen. I mean, the font was correct. The size of the letters on the back of the jersey was correct. It said Allen, and I've grown accustomed to and akin to seeing the word Allen on the back of my quarterback's jersey. But how bizarre was seeing number 9 underneath of it? Like super duper super. And I would liken it to, it's wickedly bizarre. But what wasn't bizarre to me, shifting gears out of like chasing a squirrel because I'm ADD, Aaron Rodgers doesn't look wrong in the number 8. And I have automatically thought when I watched the first episode of Hard Knocks, and I'll come back to the Bills, just give me half a second. I honestly thought that when I saw Aaron Rodgers in 8 instead of 12, it was going to throw me. But Aaron Rodgers looks wildly natural in an 8 jersey, which was kind of cool. However, seeing the word Allen and the number 9 underneath it, creepy, just bizarre. That's all I can give you. Super bizarre. But yes, Kyle Allen got the start. Josh Allen did not play. Stephon Diggs, as you know, did not play. It was wonderful to see Damar Hamlin in this football game. It was wonderful to see him playing hard, playing aggressively. He was not timid. He was not hesitant, which, we've heard from John Fina many times and Jerry Ostrowski. If you're going to play in the NFL, you cannot play that way. You have to be, 100% all the way in, or you're going to get hurt. So it was incredible to see him back on the football field. And I'm going to be honest. I know I saw Jerry Ostrowski's post, his tweet. Is it an X or is it still a tweet? His tweet that, seeing Damar Hamlin back on the field as a former player, he was a little bit choked up. He was a little verklempt, if you will. It had to be emotional for some people. I did not watch it live, so it was not, I didn't have the opportunity to kind of I was at a family reunion. I didn't have the opportunity to get kind of really super connected to what was going on. The game was on, but it was like a little bit, it was over the air antenna and it didn't really work too well. But so we weren't paying a whole lot of attention. And then when I did get to watch it back, I was watching it back more or less to take notes. But what an amazing scene. What an amazing sight for not only this football team, not only for this community, for this league, the NFL, and this country as a whole. If you go back to that day and the week that followed and the 2 weeks that followed, just the way the world surrounded this country, surrounded Damar Hamlin, to see him back on the football field, tremendously awesome. And just tremendously awesome to see him not out there as a spectacle either. Like, he wasn't out there as a prop. Hey, we'll run Damar out there for a down or two. We'll have him on a pitch count. And we'll make it look like, like a sideshow thing just to make people happy. No, the dude was out there. He was playing hard. It was great to see. Super, super great to see. It also provides a challenge for the Bills because they went and they got Tyler Rapp, who also looks very good in a Buffalo Bills uniform. And they're going to be a little bit crowded at that position, but it's never a bad thing to be crowded in any position. So we'll see how all that shakes out, but good on you, Damar. Good to have you back. Love you, bro. It's great to see you. I did like, speaking of just general thoughts about this football game, I did like the aggressiveness of the defense early. And as we all know, Sean McDermott is now calling plays on this defense. We saw some run blitzes early. It was just great to kind of see. There was a little bit of over pursuit, but two things: it is preseason, and the Buffalo Bills traditionally have always over pursued. So that's just kind of like par for the course when it comes to this football team. But the defense looked good to me early in spots. Again, preseason, not a lot of game planning. I loved the aggressiveness. I actually liked a lot of what I saw as far as what we could take away. Starts of interest to me, Dane Jackson got the first team rep for the defense at cornerback opposite Tre'Davious White. And I'm not surprised, but it interested me. And then Elam came in second. I was surprised to see Torrance over Bates just because the depth chart has Bates over Torrance. However, I have a feeling, if I'm a guessing man, that's because they were planning on bringing in Ryan Bates as the backup center to spell Mitch Morris once he came out of the game, which he did. So I think that kind of told that story. You know, we all want Osiris Torrance to be the guy, to be that guy to remove Bates from the lineup as much as we like Ryan Bates. But there's just something to be said for the fact that Ryan Bates is probably best suited to be, once again, the first player off the bench as it pertains to almost any position on that offensive line. He is incredibly valuable. The only asterisk for me when it comes to Ryan Bates is if he's one of your best five, play him. If he's not one of your best five, then make him your backup center, guard, tackle. Absolutely do that. But don't do to us what you did to us when Brian Winters was on this team and some other guys that were not better than Ryan Bates. If Ryan Bates is one of the best five, play him. Period. End of story. I don't care where people got drafted. I don't care how much money we paid him. If Ryan Bates, the free agent, if Ryan Bates is the best, one of the best guys, play him. And then Terrell Dotson also got the start, which that's probably due to, if we're throwing darts at dartboards, familiarity with the defense. Terrell Dotson has been here a lot longer than Bernard. He's been in this defense for a while, and they're going to give, I'm guessing, Terrell every opportunity to win this job or to lose this job as the starting linebacker opposite Matt Milano. I was not excited. I don't know where you guys were at or how much you paid attention to, or if it means anything. Again, preseason football game. I was not excited to see the starting defense open in a nickel 4-2. I had some hope and kind of some idea or thought or personal aspirations that, not that we were done with the nickel 4-2. I know that our defensive scheme and our defensive philosophy and a lot of the personnel, Taron Johnson, some other guys that we have, including Matt Milano, really speak well to that nickel 4-2. But the nickel 4-2 just seems to me like it's run its course a little bit. It's just a personal feeling. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. But we saw the Bills in a 4-3, a traditional 4-3, several times, actually, since the time the Colts whipped us when Jonathan Taylor ran for like 700 yards in a football game. That's an exaggeration. He didn't really do that. But we saw the Bills transition to a 4-3, a traditional 4-3 in multiple games. I expected to see them start that way. I don't know why I did. I had an expectation. It didn't get met. I just feel like the nickel 4-2 is one of those defensive systems that right now seems to be has maybe possibly run its course. Some offenses know how to beat it. The Bengals, we'll see, right? It wasn't for me. It was kind of like okay, right? Nickel 4-2, here we go. So we're gonna keep doing this. You know, when you don't have Tremaine Edmonds opposite Matt Milano, you've got basically a guy over there next to Matt Milano that we hope one of these guys, one of these dudes, put them in a lineup. There's four of them. We're gonna throw a dart at one of them, and hopefully one of them can play satisfactory football and not get us in trouble in our nickel 4-2 versus, maybe we might just be better if we put three linebackers out there like other 4-3 teams do. Just a thought. Now that Tremaine Edmonds is gone, who many people in the comment section that are content creators would tell you the reason that we ran the nickel 4-2 was because of Tremaine Edmonds, who is no longer a Buffalo Bill. I just feel like we're holding on to something, right? The relationship is over, but we just can't get the girl out of our life. We just keep going back. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Something to talk about, something to think about. I did like what I saw from Andy Isabella a lot. I don't know who this kid is. And by that, I mean, I don't watch college football and I'm not a draft Nick, but he looked like he had some motor on this football team. Dare I say he had some resemblances of, I'm not saying he's Cole Beasley, but he had some wiggle to him. He had some lateral movement to him. He had the ability to get open out of the slot. I liked what I saw from Andy Isabella. I think we'll see has the opportunity to make a case for himself. And then the only potential injury of note for this football game was Tommy Doyle, who got rolled up on. And I've actually talked to Jerry and to John about, like, I don't know how you guys play football and hold your blocks, right? So the play's going on, the play lasts for however many seconds, and you're holding your block. I don't know how those guys with confidence hold their blocks, knowing that at any moment somebody could roll up on the back of their leg. And John, I don't remember what Jerry's answer was when I asked him, but I remember Jerry's was probably the same. John specifically said, you just can't think about it ever. Like, it doesn't even cross your mind that that's ever going to happen. And it happened to Tommy Doyle. I saw it when it happened, when I was watching the replay back, and it just was wonderful. I mean, just absolutely cringeworthy. He did get back up and he continued to play through the game, which was good. However, he's supposed to be getting a scan. I have not seen from Banged Up Bills or anybody else if anybody's gotten any news on what that scan has come back like, but it was a good sign that he did continue to play. I've gotten accustomed to, when a guy goes down like that, holding his knee, if he gets back up and doesn't want to come out, seeing what the very next play looks like. And he anchored himself on that leg, which was good. So, here's to hoping that everything's okay. From a stat standpoint in this football game, and we are going to talk about some topics, so just stick with me for a minute. Stats, the only two I'm going to give you is the quarterback play. Kyle Allen started this football game, who is the expected number 2 quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. He was 8 of 15 for 122 yards. He didn't look great. He didn't look bad. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment for Kyle Allen? He didn't look great. He didn't look bad. Kid's got a cannon on him. He can throw the football. We'll talk about that in a second. Matt Barkley did Matt Barkley things when the game didn't matter. I think that's a fair assessment as well. Matt Barkley was 14 of 15. Crazy, for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Allen also threw an interception that was tipped. I'll give you some quick weapons, guys. Jordan Mims, 7 of 23. James Cook was 4 for 20 with a touchdown. Darrington Evans, 6 of 18. Latavius Murray, that old dude just won't give up. Like that, Latavius Murray might make this football team, y'all. Andy Isabella, 3 for 42. Keyshawn Johnson, 3 for 42. Marshall Aitman, 2 for 41, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So those are the stats from this football game, which wasn't anything like world shaking or world changing, but it was a good football game. As like I said, preseason games go. The best thing that can happen in any preseason game is nobody gets really injured. You don't lose anybody, that's a starter for a long period of time, which is, effectively what happened. We came out of this game clean, unscathed. 1 down, 2 more to go. With the first preseason game, we're getting our first real looks at actual football actually being played. Just for everybody's sake, if you do not know, there is only one cut down day this year. So this is one rule change that they've made. So going into the next 2 games, the Bills are going to go from what seems like 100 guys on the roster. So like just a sea of white jerseys or a sea of blue jerseys on the sideline. And they're going to have to cut down to 53. I believe it's on August 28th or 29th. They've got to cut down to 53 players all in one shot. So they're going to go from a full roster to a trimmed roster effectively overnight. One other thing, there is a new kickoff rule. If you have not heard, as of today, the NFL has ruled, the coaches of the NFL have ruled that any kick that is fair caught inside the 25-yard line, which means that before it had, in order for it to be a touchback, you had to fair catch it in the end zone. Well, now a touchback can be anywhere from 25 to the end zone. So you could fair catch it on a kickoff, on a free kick at the 5. The ball comes out at the 25, which I would expect that most of us that love football hate this rule. Absolutely. When it was announced, really just were kind of frustrated, and you're taking a whole element, a whole segment, a big piece of the football game out of the game. However, despite the new rule, it appears, from what I've seen, and I'm actually watching the Saints and Kansas City preseason game right now, that happened on Saturday, I believe. It seems as though teams are still going to be trying to kick it to the 1, to the 2, to just inside the end zone. And it looks like the receiving teams are electing, as of right now, to try and return the football. So we'll see how that goes. But, kickoffs are an amazing part of the football game. It's a part that we all love. And I know that there's a giant risk for injury. And I know that they've done a lot over the years to continue to whittle away, right? Removing the wedge and like doing different things and trying to make it so that guys, not make it, but put players in a better position or situation to not get injured by running however fast giant humans run, 20 miles an hour, 18 miles an hour, 16 miles an hour, weighing 265 pounds and slamming into somebody else. They've done a lot over the last 20 years of trying to reduce injury. And this is another step in that kind of process. I just don't want to be in a situation where every kickoff, what we see is, the ball kicked off to the 3 and it's fair caught and comes out to the 25. To me, if that happens, if that becomes routine in the NFL, my guess is that they'll probably bump the touchback again to the 20. So like instead of it being at the 25, what it is now, which it is now, they'll bump it back to the 20. But I'm not exactly a prophet, so I could be wrong about that. Now, those are just some quick highlights of the game. What time is it? Oh, we're fresh. We're early in this game. I got 3 primary topics that I want to talk about in this show. One is about the quarterback 2 situation. One is about the running back 1 situation. And then one is mostly about Dalton Kincaid. There's nothing that is going to be earth-shattering or, oh my gosh, that's a crazy take. Like nothing. It's preseason. Like this is my first show back in 4 months. After the Cincinnati Bills game, the Bills-Cincinnati game, like I was done. Stick a fork in me. So this is the first opportunity that I've really had to be back. So I am in preseason form as well. But there's a lot of meat on some bones. There's a lot of things to talk about. There's a lot of topics. There's a lot of great things that we could be discussing. And one of those things to me, just from seeing what we've seen in camp and seeing what we saw in this football game, is there an issue? Do we have a problem? Is there a concern? Are we set at backup quarterback? Now, when you consider what we've got, Matt Barkley is a guy we know very well. Matt is a good dude. He loves Buffalo. He loves this team. He loves Josh Allen. I actually kind of know his family. Like, they're great people. And Matt is a good dude. But Matt, there's a reason that Matt is on the practice squad every year. And there's a reason that even though he's 14 to 15 for 172 yards with 2 touchdowns in a preseason game, the times we've seen him play in the regular season, despite his very first start ever as a Buffalo Bill against the Jets, a game that I missed. I don't even remember why I missed that game, but I still have not to this day seen that football game where the offense, I believe, scored 40 or 40 plus points. He just has never been able to find that, not vein, but find that ability to kind of keep that same momentum. He's limited, right? And I don't think that's a bad thing to say. He's not Josh Allen. He's got limitations, and even beyond limitations, the offense doesn't fit his skill set super well, right? Which is why they went and they kind of got Kyle Allen. Not because the system completely fitted him. I mean, obviously Josh Allen, being good friends with Kyle Allen, like very good friends, they're going to, Josh has a say in that conversation. Hey, Josh, right? Case is gone. Who do you want in your room? Who do you want in your quarterback room? Who's going to help you see things the way that you need to see things? Steve Tasker talked a lot about it. He actually, Steve Tasker is awesome and knows 1,000 times more about football than I'll ever know. But he said on the broadcast that, for a backup quarterback, Kyle Allen, he was speaking about it this time, it's not about how well they play, but it's more about how they prep for the number 1, for the starter, for Josh. And as soon as he said it, I was like, yeah, well, I mean, yes, 100%. You absolutely, I mean, it's this guy and Josh, and then a practice squad guy, whoever the practice squad guy is. And in this case, it's going to be Matt Barkley. So in case you wonder where I'm going with this, I just gave it away. I don't think for 1 second that there is a battle for the QB2 spot, that somehow Matt Barkley could be QB2 and Kyle Allen ends up on the practice squad. I don't think that happens at all. I think Matt Barkley is going to the practice squad and will be in Buffalo unless he gets plucked off the roster by somebody else and signs with them, which is completely possible. But as much as I understand the theory and the point, and I get completely what a backup quarterback's job is in the sense of trying to get him to help prepare your number one guy and be in the quarterback room together and help see things, and whether it was mistakes and blah, blah, blah from last week to new stuff this week for this week's opponent. If Josh has to miss a couple games, that dude's got to play football. And he's got to play football at a high level. And I think the concern for me right now as it pertains to Kyle Allen, as much as he's got a strong arm, as much as he probably is a better fit or is more than likely a better fit than Steve Tasker said, Case Keenum, we know Matt Barkley, and even Mitchell Trubisky, as it pertains to the type of throws he's going to want to try to make, which are very similar to the throws that Josh Allen wants to make. No, his arm is not as good as Josh Allen's. But as much as he's a decent fit, we've heard a lot of rumblings from camp that things haven't really gone well. Now, I know he's new to the system, and it's a complex system, and there's probably still some issues as it pertains to rolling over from Dable's system to Dorsey's system. But when you're looking for a backup quarterback, you're not in a preseason game specifically, you're not looking for flash. You're not looking for your backup quarterback to be like, oh my gosh, that dude might start. We went through that for 20 years, right? Lostman, Edwards. Like, we went through it for, it seemed like every time we turned around, there was a conversation about the backup guy being better than the guy that's starting, because we, in our minds, thought we saw some flash from whoever was supposed to be the backup guy. You're not looking for flash from your backup guy in a preseason game. You're not looking for the next great thing. Oh my gosh, look at this guy. Our quarterback's getting up there in years, and we got this backup on the bench. And in 2-3 years, when our other guy is done, we're going to hand the reins over to him because he looks like he can do it. That's not the intention. That's not the point there. You effectively just want competence out of a backup quarterback, out of a QB2. You want potential, and you want the ability to manage a football game, and you've got to have, I don't care how well he prepares your quarterback. I don't care if he has the ability as a soothsayer and a whisperer to put your quarterback in a situation where he wins almost every single game. If something happens to your quarterback, that guy's got to win football games. At least half of them. And if he can't win half of the football games that you need him to win to keep you in a playoff hunt in a division that's going to be incredibly difficult, we expect, you just got to wonder where that leaves this football team. He has a big arm. It's important. He's good friends with Josh Allen. Also important. Are we seeing enough out of him to be confident, like we were with Case Keenum, like we thought we might have been with Mitch Trubisky, that if something were to happen and Josh had to miss 4 games, he could win 2. If Josh had to miss 6 games, he could win 3. I'm just not sure. I would say that as much as we know exactly what we have in Matt Barkley, we don't know what we've got in Kyle Allen. And I'm not sure this staff does yet either. And if Kyle Allen can't, I said it a minute ago. In my opinion, Matt Barkley is on this team on the practice squad regardless, unless he gets plucked. Unless somebody claims him and puts him on their active roster, which is not outside the realm of possibility. But if Kyle Allen can't cement himself as the guy, as the number 2, like, oh, by week 3, by preseason week 3, Kyle's got it. Yeah, we're singing a different tune at that point. He's good to go. If he can't cement himself as a guy the staff feels like they can rely on to win 50% of the games, I would expect to see the Buffalo Bills trade for a different backup quarterback. Somebody like possibly Case Keenum. Somebody like possibly Mitch Trubisky. The reality is the style of football that Josh plays. He's been incredibly healthy. He had the elbow thing last year. He didn't miss a game. Probably could have, probably should have. But, Josh is a big old boy. He's a young kid. Still in his mind, he's a young kid, and he wants to play as hard as he can possibly play, and he wants to put his nose down, and he wants to get in the dirt. He wants to deliver hits. He wants to take hits, and if you are a GM worth your salt, you are going to make sure that a disaster recovery plan is in place. I would expect that if he does not cement himself to the point where all of us as Bills Mafia are like, oh no, Kyle's got this. Yeah, we're good. Like we were a Case. We all knew last year, if something happened, Case Keenum could at least come in and win a couple football games. And I don't mean a couple football games against the Cardinals and against the Texans. I mean, like, this guy's going to have to beat the Jets and the Dolphins and the Chiefs. He's going to have to beat good football teams. The Bills' schedule this year is not a cakewalk, aside from the Commanders. That's probably the easiest game, and the Patriots maybe, the two easiest games on their schedule. But I digress. So I'll let that one go. So that's kind of where I'm at on the QB2 issue. It's not Matt Barkley. Love you, Matt. It's not Matt Barkley. Could it be Matt Barkley? I'm sure it could be Matt. I could be surprised. We all could be surprised. We all love Matt Barkley. There's nobody that doesn't like Matt Barkley. I just feel right now there's a level of uncertainty, or I don't want to use the word discontent, just maybe not even concern. I don't think it's gotten to the level of concern, but maybe there's a level of concern, right? I don't know. Maybe. So, running back one, let James Cook, right? This kid, this is something else I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about James Cook before I saw the game. I wanted to talk about James Cook before I even saw the game. There's something about the way this kid plays. There's something about his running style. There's something about just his patience. I've said on a number of occasions, he reminds me of Le'Veon Bell. No, I'm not saying he's Le'Veon Bell. He's not as big as Le'Veon Bell. He's not that tall. He's not that big. I think he's faster than Le'Veon Bell. Groveport, Ohio's Le'Veon Bell, graduate of Groveport High School, where my daughters went to the Groveport school, or were in the Groveport school system in Columbus. He's not Lev Bell. There's just a similarity in the way that he runs. And what I mean is he gets the ball and he effectively kind of stands up and gets patient, right? And then finds his hole or finds his mark and then makes a dart for it and gets through it. In my opinion, and this is just my comp, and people can have their own comps. This is just where I'm at. Towards the end of the season, he'd get the ball, kind of pop up, right? And then kind of look side to side and then find a hole, squeeze through it. That's what Lev Bell used to do when he was with the Steelers. But in this game, I mean, when you watching him play the limited snaps that he had, he was driving to the hole and welcoming like hard contact. He wasn't avoiding stuff. And you're also talking about a guy that doesn't have the miles on the tires. You're talking about a dude that came from Georgia and barely touched the football. I think in 2 games in his college career did he touch the football more than 12 times. And I think the max was 14. So in a conversation in the NFL where the big concern is a guy like Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, these guys that have had huge workloads in the NFL, and they had huge workloads in college, which adds up to a lot of miles on the tires. James Cook doesn't have those miles. He trusts his eyes, he makes decisions, and he goes. Whether he needs to wait or whether he can just go, there's a measure of seeing we have watched a progression with James Cook where the game has slowed down for him. Does that make sense? And we've seen it happen. So beginning of last year, first 5 games, he was like a skittish little kid out there. He got the football, wasn't sure what to do. Anybody that played sports or has been on a stage or has been really nervous about something knows what I'm talking about, where everything's just going by like 5,000 miles an hour. You can't control your breathing. You can't control what you're thinking about. You almost get tunnel vision. NFL players go through this. They talk about the game slowing down for them. And now he's at a point where he's seeing everything on the field. He's seeing potential holes. He's seeing places where holes aren't, where a hole is and maybe isn't going to be. The game has slowed down from him, and it's been great to watch. But the question is if I'm excited about James Cook, and I've been excited about him since the Bills drafted him, and you're excited about James Cook, and it appears the Bills, he's largely their plan at running back, along with Damian Harris and obviously Latavius Murray, who we can talk about. But if this is the plan, why are the Bills inquiring on Alvin Kamara? Now the comment section is going to fill up. Oh, they weren't really inquiring about Alvin Kamara. That's just smoke and blah, 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 blah. Well, we don't know. We have zero idea if the Buffalo Bills actually inquired about Alvin Kamara, even though it showed up on the blotter, whether it was Ian Rappaport or whoever reported it. If I had to guess, this is another one of those situations that Brandon Beane talked about it. And consequently, I think it was about Alvin Kamara and the Saints, where Brandon sat at the podium and he was like, no, that was just one of our scouts doing his job. Like, if he's doing his job and he is assigned to the Saints, then it's his job to know everything about the Saints and their players and who's available and who's not and what the asking price is, so that if I, Brandon Beane, call him my scout and I say, what do they want for Alvin Kamara, he can give me an answer, he or she can give me an answer. More than likely, this is probably what happened, and it is still an agent of the Bills, somebody that represents the Bills, called the Saints asking what the asking price is. Hey, what's the asking price? And yes, of course, the Saints used that information, right, to leak it to somebody, hoping that a Dolphin person or a Patriots person or a Jets person would be like, oh my gosh, if the Bills are calling about him, we better too. Drive up the price. So do I think it's real? Yes, I think it happened, but I don't think it's real in the sense that the Bills are trying to like do something different or go in a different direction than James Cook. I think personally, I said this last year, despite a lot of other people disagreeing with me, thought last year and still do think that James Cook could be a number one running back in the NFL. I was told last year he's not big enough. He's an inch taller than his brother, Dalvin. He weighs 10 pounds less. At least that's what we're told. We don't know what he actually weighs yet this year. He could be 10 pounds heavier. He could be 15 pounds heavier. We have no idea. He didn't look massively different in the football game. But I'm reminded of other running backs that have played in the NFL and have had decent careers. No, I don't mean they played for 9 or 10 years. I'm not sure that his frame has the durability in it to play for 12 years or do what Latavius Murray's doing. What is he, 32? But could he play as the number one running back for the next 3 years, which is effectively the life cycle of a starting running back in the NFL? I think so. I think there's a lot to like about James Cook. I think the Buffalo Bills need to let that man cook. I just happened to look down and John Herring actually put a comment. He said that the thing about James Cook is there's no wasted motion. That's well said. The thing about James Cook is there's no wasted motion. That is well said. I like it a lot. And Latavius Murray, if all else fails and all the wheels come off for this offense like they have in the last 3 or 4 years as it pertains to the running game, and you know what I'm saying. I know the Bills rushed for an average of 4 or 4.4 yards per carry, and the running game wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was. They just didn't commit to the run. It just felt like the run was never important when they needed it to. If all the wheels come off, we could just throw screen passes to Latavius Murray all day long. It just seems that dude knows where to find a hole in the zone for a screen. And when he turns upfield, there's 20 yards in front of him. So Latavius Murray, I thought for sure was going to be on the practice squad, potentially not on this football team. And he is making an incredible case to be RB3, maybe RB2. I mean, we're going to see where Harris falls in as he heals up, because he's nursing a little bit of an injury, a leg injury. But as soon as he's back, it's going to be interesting to see what the Buffalo Bills have in that position, in that running back room between the three of those guys. I mean, Damian Harris clearly is going to be your bruiser, right? He's going to be your change of pace, smash people in the face running back to go along with James Cook. But Latavius Murray brings something to the table. It's going to be fun to watch. Last topic for this show, and it's not a huge topic, so I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to give you some of your time back. But don't worry, you're going to see me again next week on Sunday night. And almost every Sunday night. Well, I guess not. We have a primetime game. You might not see me. Actually, before I do that, so my schedule is going to change and shift up a little bit this year. My show is going to go post-game Sundays, just like always. So post-game Sundays, either 8 or 9. I don't think we've determined what time the show is going to go. But if the Bills play at 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock on a Sunday, that I'm going to go at probably 9 o'clock, right? 8, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. It depends on leading the charge. Which, if you haven't caught that show, you should. Fernando's great. For primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night games, this show is actually going to air live at like 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. So change in schedule. Why? Because, frankly, I'm old and I don't want to be up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not that fun. When I go to FINA Fest was Saturday. So Saturday was FINA Fest at Dan Freddy's house, at Smoker Freddy's house. It was a great time, a lot of fun. I was out of there by 10 o'clock. And I mean, that's just, I'm old at this point, and for all intents and purposes, it was great. It was awesome seeing everybody, the amount of friends to kind of catch up with and get ready for the new season. And it's like, yes, the season doesn't begin until FINA Fest happens. John was there. Mimi was there. It was incredibly awesome. We had a blast. Dude, I was out. I was like, I'm going to bed. So the whole idea of a game ending at 11:15, 11:30, 11:15, whatever, 11, and I need 45 minutes or so to put my notes together. I go live at midnight, 12:15, somewhere around there. I'm on for an hour, and then I have to like scrub it down, and I have to like post it up, and I'm not hitting the pillow until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I got to be up for work. It's just, yeah, we're done with that. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't mean to overreact on you, but we're done with that. So that's over. So going forward, this show, primetime, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night games will be the next day, somewhere between 7 and 8 a.m. live on YouTube. So if you're at work, at your desk, you can tune in live. We'll see what happens. I don't think Rumblings has a show that goes that early. So we're going to set a precedent, or maybe not. Maybe it'll be like, that's awful. Like, we did this 3 times or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and like, it doesn't work. Well, we're going to see. So just a little scheduling update for all of you. Tight ends. Who here, by a show of hands or a show of hitting the like button on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching on, who here is excited about Dalton Kincaid? My hand is up. Okay, both my hands. Now I'm surrendering. Both my hands are up. One hand is up. I'm excited about Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid has an opportunity to set, or to have, I should say, a historical year for rookie tight ends in the NFL. Am I predicting that he's going to have a historical year for a rookie tight end? No, I'm not saying he's going to. There's a lot of things that have to happen for him to have a historical year for a tight end. But this kid is showing through camp, through the preseason, that everything that he was billed to be, he is. Everything that he is billed to be, or was billed to be, he is. And I love even more the story of Dalton Kincaid now that we've heard. And I don't know how it made it this far. It made it all the way into like training camp and almost a preseason. Now that we've heard the story that like Brandon Beane had a plan in place with Joe Shane to go get him. Like there was already kind of like, this is the guy we want. Best player available, be damned. Because that's what we're always told. We just draft best player available. Well, they didn't this year. This year they were like, we want that guy. That guy right there. We want that dude. And they had a plan to go get him. Which to me makes this whole story, this whole conversation about Dalton Kincaid even more dramatic, even more interesting, even more entertaining than it was before when you found out he had a 90-something% catch rate. He's a freak of an athlete. He's not a standard tight end. And, oh, by the way, we have Dawson Knox on this football team making $14 million a year. There was already drama potentially in this conversation with the Bills moving to 12 personnel. The Bills already having Dawson Knox, who is a fan favorite. Dawson Knox is a beloved player, not only with Bills Mafia, but with the national media. Kyle Brandt loves Dawson Knox. So do a whole bunch of other people. The Bills shocked the world and draft another tight end. What is happening, right? There was already dramas, but now there was already entertainment value. There was already something to watch. There's already something to be wildly excited about. And it just seems to be getting better. I don't know if you caught it, and there was a tweet that went out about it too. Dalton Kincaid, did you see him truck whoever the guy that was covering him in the game on Saturday? He was going out for his pattern and basically pancaked him. I did not get an opportunity to look back to see if it was pass interference, if the ball was in the air or anything like that, but he trucked the guy. Like, he's not afraid of contact. I don't know if any of you have seen the highlight from camp where he basically was going to the ground and reached down to the ground with one hand and caught the football. The effort and ease with which he snatches the ball to the air. He's got quick hands. They're saying he runs incredibly crisp routes. The idea of Dalton Kincaid in the slot, a guy that catches the ball at the rate he does with his size, or even outside with Dawson Knox on the field at the same time, if Josh Allen chooses to utilize him, I'm going to say that again. If Josh Allen chooses to utilize him, Dalton Kincaid could have a historical year for a rookie tight end. I don't know what that means. I'm not saying 1,500 yards. I'm not saying 1,000 yards. I'm not saying 900 yards, but even 800 yards for a rookie tight end or 750 yards for a rookie tight end would be a lot. It'd be a historical year for a tight end, for a rookie tight end. But we saw Josh Allen at the start of last season be a guy willing to exploit defenses where those defenses were weak and take what the defenses were giving him. Then he hurt his elbow. They got behind at times in games, not a lot, and then he kind of reverted back to throw it over that mountain, Josh. Right? He started looking downfield a lot. Jerry Ostrowski talks all the time that he doesn't feel like Josh gets enough blame for sometimes the woes that this offense has. And Jerry's not wrong. We love Josh. Josh is amazing. He is Buffalo. He's one of us. He loves it here. We love him. It's a storybook. Like, it's everything that you would want out of a conversation about writing a story for who a franchise quarterback is going to be for this town is Josh Allen. It's 100% true, but that doesn't mean that when that offense finds bumps in the road, to Stephon Diggs' point at times, some of that blame gets laid at the feet of Josh Allen. So Dalton Kincaid can come in and they can run 12 personnel all day long. And Dalton Kincaid can pancake the guy covering him or juke him out of his bobby socks. But if Josh Allen doesn't throw him the football, it's a fart in the wind, for lack of a better way of saying it. But the opportunity for us to enjoy watching this kid play football is incredibly there. And I, for one, can't wait. Hand in the air. Excited to see Dalton Kincaid play. You got to like his talent, his football IQ. We've seen his desire to hit people. Not sure how great of an inside blocker he is or going to be. But all the makeup is there. Is he going to be Travis Kelce? I'm not saying that. Is he going to be Mark Andrews? I'm not saying that. He's just going to be Dalton Kincaid, and that's okay. He can be great and be Dalton Kincaid, right? I will be convinced, getting back to the 12 personnel thing, because that's all the rage this offseason. Buffalo Bills are going to run 12 personnel. I'll be convinced that the Bills are going to run 12 personnel and that they're going to run it effectively when I see them do it. And I don't mean just once or twice. I mean, when it's like the base package for them that like, nope, we're a 12 personnel team. This is how we want to run. Yes, I know they're still going to go 4 wide. Yes, I know they're going to go 5 wide. They're going to run 11. They're going to run 10. I know that. I'm just saying we drafted Dalton Kincaid in the first round so that we could run 12 personnel 2 times a game. That's not running 12 personnel. That's more gimmick at that point in time. If that happens, Dalton Kincaid is not going to have a historic year for a rookie tight end. But if the Bills do what we think they're going to do, if they do what we expect them to do, and if they do what we hope they're going to do, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. A ton of fun. Coming up is I'm about to let all of y'all go. Tomorrow, Monday, somewhere between 8 and 9 p.m., the return of the Off Tackle with John Fina show here on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Please, if you are not doing anything tomorrow evening and you have the ability to set your reminder or set a schedule or put it in your calendar, please join John and I as we return to start our conversations as it pertains to the 2023 Buffalo Bills football season. And then on Wednesday, the Hump Day Hotline also returns. This week, myself and Jay Spencer King will be doing our defensive roster projections. We did our offensive roster projections last week. You can find that podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings podcast platform, as well as the vidcast in the Buffalo Rumblings vidcast YouTube library. But please tune in tomorrow for me and John Fina, and then tune in on Wednesday for the Hump Day Hotline, and then obviously Code of Conduct, Line to Gain. Like, there's a ton of content that Buffalo Rumblings. Jay Spencer King has done an incredible job putting talent and content together. He has crushed it this offseason, and I am proud to call him one of my best friends. So, but ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Overreaction post-game show on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, brought to you by the Market Dominator. It is so good to have had you with me for this first episode of the 2023 season. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I can't wait to talk to you next week. You guys enjoy the rest of the summer. Go Bills.